is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these beautiful, delicious, smoky, scratch-made, amazing red barbacoa, smoky chicken, and some chorizo tamales, just in time for the holidays. Coming up! This is a pork butt. Pat it dry. And what I've got here is a pork butt, bone in, skin removed, fat cap intact. And that's because today we're taking a look at tamales. And I made barbecue tamales plenty of times because back at Leroy and Lewis, we would always make them this time of year because it's a very popular dish around the holidays around these parts. And it was always a big pain in the butt because we'd have to make thousands of them and you have to make each one by hand individually. But it's been a few years since I made one, so hopefully this goes all right. But today we're making 3 different types of barbecue tamales, starting with a chorizo pulled pork. And to start out, we're gonna give this thing a once over, make sure there's nothing weird on there, like this knuckle bone on the backside. That's not even attached. Don't need that. But if there's a weird gland or anything that's kind of hanging off, we can get this thing trimmed up a little bit. But again, we're making pulled pork, so no need to be too aggressive at this stage. Get that out of there. But other than that, looking pretty good. We're gonna keep that fat cap fully intact. So really all we need to do now is get this thing seasoned up. And to do that, I'm gonna bust out some Leroy and Lewis / Chuds barbecue chorizo sausage mix / rub. And this stuff is great. We've done a couple runs of this on the website and everyone seems to love it because it's very tasty stuff. And it's a sausage mix, meaning you can add this pack to 5 pounds of meat and get yourself some incredibly flavorful chorizo sausage, but because there's no binders or pink salt in there, it also makes for a really flavorful rub, which is how we're going to use it today. So simply enough, starting on the backside here, I'm going to hit this with a little bit of oil, just because it's a pretty powdery mix, and those powders need a little bit of help sticking sometimes. And then grab some of this super fragrant rub and just get a nice coating all over. God, that smells so good. It smells like the holidays already. A lot of warming spice in there, you know? A little bit of clove and cinnamon and whatnot. But a nice healthy coating. I really don't think you can overdo it with a rub like this. Flip it over, little spritz on top. Oops. Top and bottom, and please, folks, don't forget the sides. Otherwise, you'll get coal in your stocking, and not coal porkman. And that is looking pretty much perfect to me. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. There's a snake in my husk. And on the pit we go. Got a post oak fire rocking today. Got the bone aimed towards the fire, but in usual placement here. And we're gonna be rocking a really simple cook, probably around 275, maybe 300 degrees at certain points. But we're making pulled pork, so I'm really not too concerned, and it should be a nice, easy cook. So we're gonna let it go for a while. Tamale number 2 is gonna be barbacoa. And of course, we're gonna make sure these are nice and patted dry. And what I got here is some beef cheek meat, and I'm obligated to say at this point that this is a pretty gnarly cut. And there's really not much we need to do to it. I'm gonna go through and cut it up a little bit just so it kind of renders down a little bit easier. But I've done this many times where I just throw it on in a big blob and it works out just fine. And of course, if you wanted to make beef cheeks, you could just trim these out and just use the scraps to make barbacoa, because that's the real cheek muscle right there. But all this other stuff makes for some great barb. But we're gonna just throw it all in the pot today. But other than that, there's really not all that much to do except get it seasoned up and throw it on the pit. So I'm gonna hit this with some Chuds BBQ SPG, but anything you like will work. But this will start the seasoning process. All the black pepper in there will help attract smoke and add some wonderful flavor. So just a nice dusting all over. Just get it all mixed up. Just like that, looking good to me. So now, let's go ahead and throw it on the pit. And lucky for us, barbacoa cooks at the same temperature as a pork butt, but just for a lot less time. So get this all on. It's all right if it overlaps a little bit. Just trying to add some smoke flavor. Beautiful. This will only probably take 4 hours or so. And one other thing I'm gonna throw on at this point is some bones. I got all of these wing tips that I've saved up from wing cooks over the last little bit. I also got a couple of these leg quarters that got super freezer burnt and probably are no good for eating, but will make for a great stock. Got some beef marrow bones. Throw those on there, as well as some pork neck bones. Picked these up at the grocery store for super cheap. And we're just gonna get some smoke and some color and cook these for a little bit. We're making a stock for our masa because we need some liquid to get all that masa to come together into a dough. And I was gonna make a chicken stock, a beef stock, and a pork stock for each respective tamal, but that seemed like a lot of work and this is already a pretty labor-intensive cook. So one master stock to rule them all, featuring all 3 types of bones. But we're gonna let those smoke away for a couple of hours and just enjoy this beautiful day. And after an hour hour or so, maybe a little longer. Let's check in on these bones. Looking nice and smoky, looking real good. So off they come. Already got some boiling water going in the old stock pot here. So in with all the beef bones, our chicken bones / meat, and of course our pork bones. Also going in with 1 carrot. Actually, that was 2 carrots. 1 onion. Couple of bay leaves, garlic, some leftover parsley. Really, I'm just going through the fridge, and anything I can throw in a stock is going in. Like this leftover sage, which will add some lovely holiday flavors. Boom, in we go. Now we're gonna let this go on low overnight. And after about 4 hours, our barbacoa is looking done. Nice and smoky. Oh, did you hear that? It's squeaking. Clearly good amount of smoke on there, looking nice and crispy. So, into the crock pot we go. But you could always do this in the oven or in sous vide, but I like to do it outside so my house doesn't reek of beef fat. That just barely all fits, but it'll shrink down as it cooks overnight. But we're gonna confit this in here, so I've got some beef tallow going in, just a couple of dollops. And this is beef fat that I've already used for making barbacoa. You can get a good couple uses out of it. Just like that, probably 3 cups went in total, but you can get away with more, you can get away with less. So now, on low this goes overnight. And this pork butt is looking really good, nice and barky, good fat render, nice and juicy, incredibly hot, right around 175, 180 internal. So now we're gonna give it the good old fashioned foiled oat. Oh, it smells so good. I honestly forgot to put chorizo rub on this until I just smelled it. But back on the pit this goes, rocking around 300 degrees for probably another hour or so until this is probing nice and tender. And just like that, 10 hours on the dot, and our pork butt is done. Even hotter than before. And as you can see, we've got a beautiful bark, a nice squishy fat cap, and it's still smelling really fantastic and looking nice and juicy. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. So I'm gonna rest this down to about 160 or so and then throw it into my warmer at 155 degrees overnight. Tamale number 3 is gonna be chicken. Juicy. Pat them dry, ding, ding. And to get these cooked, we're gonna do some half chickens, but first we gotta pull everything out of there. Anything else hiding? Oh, yep. Should've used that for our stock. But I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of split these down the middle for some beautiful half chickens. Just going right through the spine. Beautiful. Flip these over. These chickens are huge. And to get these seasoned up, I'm gonna hit them with some snake bite. This is our all-purpose, slightly spicy rub, which should pair very well with the sauce for these tamales. And just a nice, generous coating all over. Flip them over and get the tops and sides as well. And these are looking pretty much perfect to me. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. And on the pit we go. Certainly not my prettiest rub application, but this is all becoming pulled chicken at the end of the day, so really, presentation is not as important. But we're gonna be cooking these around 300 degrees for probably a couple hours. These are pretty gigantic, so we'll see how it goes. But for now, we're gonna shut this down and maintain some temps. And after an overnight simmer, let's get this stock strained out. And honestly, you don't need to go this long. A few hours is really all you need, but it's convenient. And you know you're getting all that good stuff out of the bones. Stock is all strained out. I'm gonna go in with some ice. It's gonna cool it down a lot quicker and also add a little more volume because this stuff is chock full of gelatin, so we can get away with diluting it a little bit. But now, set this aside to chill. Let's knock out a salsa verde for our pulled chicken, starting by grilling off our veg. Got the old Chud grill fired up nice and hot. We're gonna just get some good char on these green little tomatillos, as well as our jalapenos, and half of 1 onion. And just get these nice and charred up and softened. And after just a few minutes, we're starting to get some good color on these bad boys. Not trying to char them completely, just soften them up a little bit and add some nice smoky flavor. So off these come. And to make our super simple salsa verde, into the food processor we go with all of our veg that we just grilled off. Charred onion, tomatillos, jalapeno. Throw in some garlic as well. Some cilantro stems in, as well as some lime juice. Ah, juicy. And a big fat pinch of salt. And get that blitzed up. Smells good. Also gonna go in with a dash of some oregano, as well as some cumin, and get that mixed in. And I'll give that a taste. Oh, that is lovely. Woo! It's got a kick to it, bud. Bit more salt. And now that this is tasting the way I like, I'm gonna go in with some avocado oil to add some more richness and some more body to this salsa. Beautiful stuff. Meanwhile, over here, let's check in on our chickens. Smelling good. Oh yeah, looking real nice. Give these a flipperino. Work on that skin side, getting it nice and crispy, and we'll move on to our next sauce, which is kind of a chili paste birria-esque sauce for our barbacoa. Starting, we're going in with our dry chilies. These are some Ancho Chiles, a few chile de arbol, and some guajillos. And we're just gonna dry toast these for a couple of seconds to release their flavors. And once these are starting to smoke just a little bit and they're nice and fragrant, in we go with some of our stock. Now I'm gonna pop a lid on this and set this aside for 10-15 minutes to steep and make sure everything is nice and soft. And while those steam away, we're gonna go in with some oil into a big pot, and in with our rough chopped white onion. And once those have started to soften up, turn a little more translucent, starting to take on a little bit of color, we can go in with our chopped up garlic and get that toasting for a minute or so. And then in with our quartered Roma tomatoes. And cook this down for another probably 4 or 5 minutes. And once all those tomatoes are cooked down and we've got a nice kind of soupy, soft consistency, into the blender we go. And we're also gonna go in with all of our steeped chilies and get that blended up. Got the sauce back in a pot, bringing it up to a simmer, and then in this little piece of cheesecloth, I've got some fresh oregano, a couple of cinnamon sticks, allspice berries, a few cloves, some black peppercorns, and some coriander. I'm just gonna roll this up into a nice little parcel and tie it up. This way I can infuse all the flavors of these tiny seeds and berries and whatnot, but I don't have to try and fish them out later. So, in they go. And because this is already looking pretty thick, I'm gonna go in with the rest of my stock, and I'm just gonna let this simmer for a couple of minutes, let all those flavors infuse and reduce down to a nice thick sauce-like consistency. Get that all mixed up. And let's check back in on these birds, shall we? Oh yeah, beautiful direct heat color on there. Oh, it's so juicy. That's exactly what we're after, folks. About 160 in the breast. And while we wait for that chicken to carry over, let's go ahead and strain our barbacoa. Now that I'm looking at it, I definitely put way too much beef tallow in here. I forgot I wasn't making beef cheeks, but with barbacoa, there's so much fat that's going to render out of it, you really don't need to add much. But this is a perforated pan, so all the oil is going to fall into this other pan, because we don't want to have a super greasy barbacoa. And just like that, all strained out, looking really nice. I did go a little extra with the mixing to make sure there was very little fat in there because we're going to be mixing this with the sauce, and I definitely don't want it to be too wet. Beautiful looking barbacoa. So now we're going in with that red sauce we just made. Just going to go little by little here until it's looking and tasting the way I want it to. Wow, that is still really hot. Oh yeah. Oh man, it's so good. Perfect. Doesn't need any salt or anything. Loving how that's tasting. Next up, let's finally pull this pork butt. Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Smells so good. Very hot. And for this one, we're going to keep it pretty simple. No sauce or anything like that, but I'm going to go into some of these extra juices. Oops. Oh, no. And give it a really nice, fine, shreddy pull. And I'm going to add some more of our rub just to really bring home that juicy flavor. And at long last, chickens are off the old chud box and rested, so now it's time to do the tedious task of pulling all this meat and removing all of the bones. But looking nice and juicy. Gotta love that. Ooh, still hot. And now that all the bones are removed, we're just gonna go through and pull this just like we did the pork, making sure to keep an eye out for any little bones or crispy bits that we may have missed, because you don't want to be biting into a bone-in tamale, folks. Starting to come together, I diced up all the skin, and now I'm gonna mix that all the way throughout, because that's where most of our seasoning is. And this is starting to look real nice. But we're making salsa verde chicken today, so I'm gonna bust out our green sauce we made earlier and just mix that right on in. Oh yeah. Ooh, that smells good. And as always, be sure to taste and adjust. I make a good chicken salad right off the bat. Needs a pinch of salt because those chickens were massive. And a little more sauce for the consistency and a little more heat. And get this all mixed up. And just like that, our green chicken is done. And now that all of our fillings are made, I think it's time to head down to the chud shop and make our masa and get these tamales made, because I'm gonna need a bigger table than this. Made it to the chud shop. I got some corn husks soaking away in some hot water here. Picked these up at the grocery store, but you could soak these overnight at room temp in some cold water. But if you forget, like I did, you can just soak them in some hot water for like an hour or so till they are nice and pliable. But we're gonna set these off to the side because it's time to make some masa. And to make our masa, Into our stand mixer, I'm going in with some room temp lard. On with the whisk. I'm gonna get that nice and whipped up. And after whipping some air into that, it's looking nice and smooth, kind of like a frosting. Next up, we're going in with some masa. This is Maseca, picked this up at the store. Nothing too fancy. Looks like that. Also going in with some baking powder, some kosher salt, and that's all you really need, but we're gonna add some extra flavor in the form of some ancho chili powder, some cumin, and some granulated garlic. And I probably should have put on the paddle attachment, but we'll see how this goes. And that's all come together into a nice sandy mixture, but now I am gonna bust out the paddle attachment. And now we're gonna go in with some of our hot stock that we made earlier. This is the master stock, and we're gonna go in little by little until we get the consistency we want, but probably about 3 cups-ish. That smells so good. And once everything has come together, we've kind of got this like moon sand texture, which looks really good. Smells fantastic, but nothing too wet, nothing too dry. But if you do make it too wet, you can always add more masa. But that's looking good to me, but I'm definitely gonna double, if not triple this amount for the amount of tamales we're gonna be making today. All right, folks, I think it's finally time to assemble some tamales. We've got everything we need, including our chorizo pulled pork, our salsa verde chicken, our lovely red barbacoa, bunch of masa, and our husks. Let's see if we can get this going. To assemble a tamale, you get your corn husk out of the water. You want to feel it for the rough side and the smooth side. And we're going to build it on the smooth side. And it's been a long time since I've done this, so I'm sure all the abuelas are going to yell. I'm going to grab some of our masa, and we're just going to kind of spread this out as evenly as possible. A lot of people use a spatula or a spoon or something, but I'm just going to go gloved hand here. Something like that. Grab our filling of choice. I'm going to go barbacoa for this one. Fill it up. Maybe a little more. And then we just want to close the sides together. Beautiful. And then wrap it up nice and tight. Flip the side up. Kind of tamp this end down a little bit. And there we go. First tamal. And then if you want to, you can rip up some of your other husks and make a little tie. And tie it shut like a cute little package. And there we go. It's so cute. We'll do this one more time. Just kind of spread this out. Grab some of our chicken this time. And close it up. There we go. We've got Team Chud here. Hi, boys.
So we're making stuffed cookie dough?
Yep. Lauren, have you ever made a tamale before?
When I was 5. I'm winging it. You ready?
Yeah. Show us how it's done.
I don't know. I mean, my ancestors are walking me through. I don't know. It's beautiful. Oh, yeah. And then what do? I forgot the next part.
You roll it up.
But, like this? Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen anything more delectable than this? Get out of my face!
Wow. Good enough to eat already. Once, have you ever made a tamale before?
I think I've tried to before. I think my dough, when I tried to make it, was a lot denser, drier. I don't know, this is really easy to work with.
Probably because I've got an alarming amount of fat in there.
Yeah.
Which hopefully should make them come off the peel a lot easier.
Good thinking. Oh, it's a little loose.
That looks terrible.
Brooke, how's tamale day treating you so far?
I mean, this all looks delicious, and I think I'm doing okay.
All right.
The best part about this, guys, is once you hit like 300 of them, we'll all be pros.
My first one.
Oh, that's pretty. That looks good.
He's a cutie.
I am really glad that you guys are all here, because imagine me doing this alone in the backyard.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying.
In the backyard.
Yeah, we're flying through this, guys. All right, we're gonna start loading up. Ooh.
Pretty good.
Round 1 in the steamer, good to go. It smells great in here, by the way. And we're almost out of masa, so this might be our only round. We'll see how the day goes. Got the old steamer pot, and these are gonna cook for probably about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and hopefully they come out all right. And after an hour of steaming, we had a bit of expansion. A couple of these are looking a little exploded, but they're feeling good. So now we're gonna let these rest and cool down for another 10 minutes or so. I'm pretending right now that these aren't extremely hot, but as they cool, they'll firm up even more, and we'll see how they came out. Just like that, these have rested down, looking nice. We've got a big steamy pile. We've got some cotija, some green sauce, some of the red sauce from the barbacoa, a little bit of pico. Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Let's dive in.
Who made the decision to wrap the cute little bows?
Oh, that was me. You know,
Bradley.
it's gotta be done. It's adorable.
I like them. I don't like the work that it involves. That's
Yeah, me
why
neither.
I was just fold.
Yeah, when we were doing it at the restaurant,
Ooh,
I never
good
even wanted to
job.
suggest doing the little bows.
And that's how you
This
know.
that.
Peels right
That's
out.
how you
I
know.
love that. Firmed up.
I got a chicken one.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. Oh, ho, ho.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is flavorful.
Yeah, that was really good. Which ones are y'all eating?
You got the pork?
got pork?
Chicken.
I can't tell you.
I think I
That's pork. This is
Yeah,
barbacoa.
Whoa.
It's really good.
Dude, that looks like a
barbacoa's
burrito. Show the fine folks.
Really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That
The
masa
barbacoa
alone,
is really good.
I like the pork too.
I want some pico on
A
there.
little dippy.
that is solid. The masa alone is flavorful enough, which is great. It's
Anyone have
just
a
chock full
chicken?
of pork fat and stock.
Is that barbacoa? That one's really good. I want to try the pork one.
That's Laura and Lewis chorizo right there.
Real good.
I bought goat cheese, forgot to put it in.
It was always next year. You're right.
Yeah, I want to find a spatula one.
holds together. Gotta love that. The barbacoa is better when it's dipped in the
I got lots of
sauce.
carbs.
Oh my god.
How many of these do you think you could take down, Brad?
Four?
These are a lot heavier than I remember them being.
Rich.
They're very rich.
Really, really good.
I got pork again. Yeah.
Decided today that we're not doing them at the restaurant.
Really?
This is barbacoa.
Been too busy. We barely made it through Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But that makes me happy because I can like fully dive into my families. Don't have to worry about making other tamales.
Yeah. Why do you make all the smart decisions after I leave?
Do y'all make them every year, Evan?
We do. Yeah, my family has done it for a long, long time. We still have my grandmother's handwritten recipe that my mom brings out every year. It's like in the little plastic protector.
And you don't follow it at all?
No longer.
I don't follow it at all. There was one year where I had to like sit down with my mom and be like, look, we gotta season the masa. We gotta put like more than nothing in there.
Yeah.
This
I feel
masa
like
is
that's
heavily
common.
seasoned.
It is common.
Yeah. This is
To not
much
season.
better.
These are
than unseasoned.
fantastic.
I like it. And luckily, we've got a bunch more meat, so we can do this again tomorrow and the next day. I think Tamale Tradition at the Chud shop is gonna stick around, bud. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
What are you making?
Just rolling up some foie gras.
Classic. There's always something happening at the Chud shop. And now we're watching Die Hard and playing cards. Gotta say, folks, I am super pumped with how these came out. They were so much better than I was expecting. That masa is so flavorful. These ones are, in fact, chilled at the moment because I brought them home and I'm probably gonna snack on them for the next couple of weeks. But that's the best part about these things is that they freeze and reheat very well. And you can do all the work ahead of time. Gotta love it. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely incredible smoky barbecue tamales. I highly recommend giving this one a try, and it is a bit of work, but it's all really easy, and you can do a lot of the work ahead of time. I shot this video over like 4 or 5 days, so when I showed up at the Chud shop, everything was vac sealed, reheated really quickly. Then you just gotta make some masa and knock these things out, and that's why it's great to do this around the holidays. You know, get your friends and family together, throw on a Christmas movie, make a bunch of tamales, and we still got plenty more, and I'm gonna vac seal these guys up so I can just reheat them whenever I want one of these beauties. But they really are fantastic, and definitely something I'll be doing again, probably every year from now on, and I hope you do as well. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button, let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos, and until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace! And you guys thought I forgot. Can't skip out on the official taste test. That would not be very holiday-like. So with this very last bite of barbacoa tamale, I think it's time for the official taste test.